if you want to graphically see how the system works, how WWE is nowadays, it's a bucket system, as clean and logical as Raj explained it. It's also the system that ensures most of the roster stays exactly where WWE needs them. Grateful for the guaranteed check and never asking about the upside. Jinder Mahal, former WWE wrestler Jinder Mahal, also now known as Raj Dhesi, recently went on Instagram to talk about WWE contracts and how it breaks down. So let's take a look.
How does a WWE contract actually work? For this example, let's sign a 3-year, $1 million per year contract downside guarantee. WWE pays its talent every single week. So take your downside guarantee of $1 million divided by 52 for 52 weeks. Your weekly check will be $19,230. For the sake of this example, let's round it up to $20,000. Now, with a downside guarantee, that $20,000 check will come in regardless if you are injured or if you wrestle 7 days a week. Same amount every single week. Now,
So that's pretty crazy. So this is what he calls it the downside guarantee. And what the bucket does, and he's going to explain it throughout the video, is that they keep a running tally of how much you're currently earning versus how much WWE's paying you out. So regardless if you're sick, regardless if you're injured, something happened to you, family incident, whatever, you can't show up every week, they will always send you the same amount, weekly amount, per your agreed contract per year. So for his example, if you get $1 million a year, you divide that by 52, 20,000 about a week. And now he's going to break down how this works versus how much you perform every week and how much you do this and that, so on. So let's go.
Out earn their downside guarantee? Absolutely. A downside guarantee is only a minimum. There is no maximum. There is no set maximum. So what WWE uses is what's called a bucket system. Now, the bucket system is imaginary in nature. It is essentially off the books.
Okay.
You will receive the same amount every single week. But what the bucket does is it keeps track of how much money is going out and how much money you are actually earning. Television tapings, live events, pay-per-views, merchandise, everything goes into this bucket. So let's start the bucket off, obviously, week 1 at 0.
Okay.
$20,000 goes out. You wrestled on Raw. You got $5,000, imaginary number. All of these numbers are imaginary.
So let's just imagine if you show up on a show, you get paid $5,000 a week, and that per that show. Okay.
Your balance in the bucket is negative $15,000 after week 1. Don't let it scare you.
No panic. We won't panic.
The same.
Okay.
Week 2, same thing. Minus $20,000 for your weekly pay. You
okay.
Put in $5,000 for Raw.
Okay.
You're now negative $30,000.
Also, imagine that the Jinder is basing this on his time wrestling, and maybe the brand splits weren't that big, because I feel like maybe this doesn't really work if you are only set for Raw or set for SmackDown. Is that fair to the wrestler? But anyway. Whoa! So if you work a PLE, even though these are imaginary numbers, it's based on this. He's saying if you work a PLE or pay-per-view, your pay is what looks like 10,000 times more than a weekly show. That's crazy.
Raw, $10,000, you were in the main event.
So if you work in the main event, your money doubles on a show. So if I worked week 3, I did the PLE, no matter what position, I get paid 50, and I main event the following Raw, I get double the amount. Crazy. Okay.
And it was a sold out arena. You are now bucket. That doesn't mean you get $10,000. Again, this is imaginary. It's plus $10,000, but your weekly check remains the same. And if it was in the negative, you do not owe WWE money. This is imaginary in nature for now.
That's crazy. We are 10 in the plus from one PLE. Can you imagine the people that be consistently main eventing a PLE or a weekly show? How much their bucket system works based on this narrative?
Week 4, $20,000 goes out. You wrestle on Raw, $5,000. You get a $100,000 merchandise check. See the check. It goes into
the bucket.
The bucket.
Yeah.
In your bucket, you are up.
Yo, Danhausen is definitely winning in this situation. His merch bucket must be insane right now.
Now, what happens when a wrestler gets injured or they're no longer being used on television? Same thing, your weekly check remains the same, but you will notice your bucket amount, your balance, will start to decrease. If you were in the positive, you could soon be in the negative.
So this is definitely what's happening to Bianca right now because she's away. It also could be happening to, it definitely is probably happening to Naomi because she's out due to pregnancy. I'm assuming this happens also with Brock Lesnar, and it's probably the main reason why Brock Lesnar gets automatically pushed into PLEs. So all the negative he's been gaining for not showing up unless his contract's written differently. Who knows?
If you were already on money.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Yeah, you're confusing me, man.
Week 36 months later, you come back and you main event.
All right.
WrestleMania, you earn $500,000, except you do
not
get paid.
$500,000 for main eventing WrestleMania into the bucket system? What?
Goes into the bucket. Whatever you were negative by, this will offset it.
Okay.
Now, let's assume for the rest of the year, I was wrestling on Raw regularly, I got merchandise, and I had a few pay-per-view matches. At week 52, I am positive $325,000 in my bucket. And by week 52, I will have received $1 million on my downside guarantee.
Of course.
This amount of $325,000 will essentially be a bonus.
What?
The total amount that I made for that year.
So you used up all your 1 million downside for the year. And then you end the year positive 325,000. You walk with a bonus, basically. So your end of year, in addition to the mill, is another 325,000. That's pretty good.
Now, for most wrestlers, I would say over 90% of wrestlers, this number is going to be in the negative.
Damn.
And if it's in the negative, does not matter, because after week 52, we go back to week 1 and your balance starts at 0. You do not owe WWE any money. Year 2 starts on this 3-year contract. You will make another $1 million.
So wait, you don't owe them money because of that?
What?
I don't get it. Maybe someone can explain to me in the chat. But to me, if say I'm negative 100,000 after the year end, doesn't that mean I owe from my 1 million contract either the current year, or they take it away from my next 1 million next year? They take away 100,000 because I owe them. I don't know.
Guaranteed.
And that's where the clip ends, and that's how the whole clip ends. But as he said, and I'm quoting him directly, for most wrestlers, he says that 90% of the wrestlers, the number he's talking about in this video, usually ends in the negative. 9 out of every 10 people on the WWE roster never see a bonus. Never. So this bonus that maybe this video is hyping up, only top wrestlers probably get it. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Charlotte maybe. Whoever has a big merch sale helps a lot. So if you guys want to ever think about how to support your wrestlers, obviously it's always going to be merch. Watching their shows, paying for going to see them if you know they're going to show up. But the easiest route is merch, especially those people that are out injured. So if you guys are big Bianca Belair fans, Naomi fans, or whoever's out in injury, know that they're hitting negatives, but you might want to help them out by buying merch while they're away, or even while they're wrestling, because then that surplus helps them out. So if you guys ever wonder why are these wrestlers not being used, that's a big way to help. But anyway, let's continue with this. Now, according to Fightful, the average WWE salary sits somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. When you account for all the contract tiers, it sounds decent. Like, for example, Cody Rhodes' annual salary, $12 million. Roman's 12, CM Punk 10, The Rock 20 mil plus for some reason. The man's not even wrestling. Seth 7, Becky 5. And look at that. They write the status. WWE champ. The Rock gets 20 mil, but he's special attraction. Anyway, and it sounds, all of this salary sounds decent, but hold on. When it comes to the NXT talent though, it is about 60,000 to 150,000. Mid-card main roster, you are getting around 500,000 to maybe 1.5 million. If you're a lower card developmental, 100,000 by 500,000. It isn't until you are somewhere in the upper mid card or title contender, main event, top draw, you will hit the millions. If you're an upper mid card, even title contender, maybe Sami Zayn, for example, 1.5 mil to 5 mil is probably his contract. If you're a main event, top draw like Roman, CM Punk, Cody, Gunther, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, 5 mil to 20 mil, depending on their contract. And here's what Raj's example did not show you, though, when it comes to the roster. And we should be definitely talking about this. And that is travel. Now, what do I mean by travel? Like, well, hotels, rental cars, flights, food. In the most WWE contracts, when it comes to this, WWE does not pay for their travel or any of that. Talent covers their own travel. On a 200 plus date schedule, they have to cover everything. That is anywhere, maybe if you do the math, is somewhere between 30,000 to 60,000 out of your pocket per year for travel, hotel, whether it's car, plane, so on and so forth. So take the reported main roster salary average that you saw here and subtract that. Because at minimum, they are losing about 60,000. You take, say, their average cost. Let's see. On average, let's say an average wrestler's cost salary is $350,000 a year. Subtract travel costs, and you are potentially looking at $290,000 to $320,000 take-home salary, and this is before taxes too. Now, obviously, we're not going to end the video just like that. We're going to talk about something else, and that is, we'll start with this question: where in the world does that reflect a fair cut for the wrestlers of the billions WWE generate a year? A few things can be happening at the same time. Raj is right about the mechanics, and the real numbers are worse than his 1 million example suggests, though. Now, when it comes to me on this, I want you guys to pay close attention, because this is where I'm going to make the story flip. And I need you guys to think about what he said plus what is happening currently with the WWE and TKO. According to TKO's own SEC filing, Nick Khan, president of WWE, earned $24.28 million in 2025 alone. His base salary alone is $2 million. The rest that he got from that $24.28 million, stock awards and incentives. Ari Emanuel, this man right here, TKO's CEO, pulled $67.3 million that same year. Now, let me ask you something, because this is important. The wrestlers, the ones bleeding on the canvas every week, are told their bucket is in the negative when it comes to every year. And they're the ones doing all this work. No bonus, same check every week. While the executives running the company are cashing in 24 to 67 million a year, even if they don't show up to every show or say they don't do much at all. Where in the world does that make sense? The product sells out arenas. The product generates billions in media rights and deals, Netflix, USA Network, premium live events, so on and so forth. The talent is the product, though, and the bucket system, the one Raj correctly explained, is also the mechanic that keeps most of them from ever seeing the upside of that revenue. If anything, the smaller wrestlers that are pushing merch, similar to like Danhausen, are pushing it to make sure they're not in the negative at the end of the year. Them showing up in the little segments is enough for them to make sure they don't show up in a negative each year. Now, we can also talk about when April happened. 2026.
Fightful Wrestling has reported that WWE was tasked with cutting millions of dollars in payroll, which led to the releases that many of you saw recently. One of the most talked about topics you might have seen within the last 24 hours was a report by PW Insider that a pretty majorly pushed talent was asked to take a 50% pay cut and allegedly did. Well, Fightful shared that on the day of the WWE mass releases, numerous talent were approached by the company to take pay cuts, and apparently, many had only 2 days to decide.
22 WWE superstars in April 2026 were gone because of budget cuts, apparently. That is their official reason, budget cuts. Continue.
As we learned this weekend, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were amongst two of the names that decided not to take the pay cut and instead depart from the company. We do.
Nick Khan made $24.28 million that year, though, and Ari Emanuel made $67.3 million that year, and WWE needed to cut the roster for budget reasons. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, two of the most decorated tag team performers in company history, and we covered their story in a previous video. Please check it out. Reportedly declined the pay cuts at all, and walked because the offer on the table was not worth for them to stay.
Do not know who took the pay cut. That, of course, that information is not out there. However, this also comes at the heels of recent reports of how much TKO executives are currently making, and you can see the graph here by Brandon Thurston.
Crazy.
All of that information. What impact this continues to have on the business, we will continue to see play out. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest, make sure you're following this page for more daily pro wrestling content.
Shout out to Denise Salcedo, awesome content creator. Anyway, guys, this is not a budget problem at all. This is priorities problem. The bucket system Raj described is not evil on its own. It is a real mechanism. It's worth as explained. But when the company that designed it is cutting the very performers, filling those bucket in, while executives pocket 9 figures, the receipts don't lie. Here's my issue, though, with WWE is not a family company anymore, as Vince used to portray or say, and people back in the day used to back up when people said whether it was a family-like environment. It's not even a corporation at this point. It's what, if you want to graphically see how the system works, how WWE is nowadays, it's a bucket system. As clean and logical as Raj explained it. It's also the system that ensures most of the roster stays exactly where WWE needs them. Grateful for the guaranteed check and never asking about the upside. Raj told you the truth about the mechanics. I am telling you what the mechanics may be in the real world when you think about it. Both things can be true. The structure can be real. The outcome for most talent is exactly as grim, because as the 90 figure suggests, and the next time WWE says they cannot afford to keep someone on the roster, remember 2 things. Remember the $24.28 million. Remember the $67.3 million. The budget is not the problem. The priorities are. As always, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the bucket system is fair to the wrestling talent? Should WWE be covering travel expenses? And was Raj right to use a $1 million example to explain this? Or should he use a more grave example to put it out there how 90% of the roster works? Or maybe it was the number too generous for most of the roster actually sees. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and we can converse it more. As always, if the tea hit right, hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.